Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, King Dio, Lord Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Coming soon. So, this month, I think it was this month, I have no idea actually, we saw the release of the third Fantastic Beasts movie from J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, Cormoran Strike, and The Casual Vacancy. I'm the only person on the planet, I think, who is intimately familiar with everything she's written. But I have refused, point blank, to ever see the Fantastic Beasts movies. And I thought it was about time I discussed why. Why I have no faith in Rowling to deliver on this premise, on this idea. Why I was very skeptical going in, and why I will never, ever, ever go see them now. Like, they are straight up, I think, not worth seeing. Even if you're like a hardcore Harry Potter fan, like I am. Not even a Harry Potter fan. Like, I'm a hardcore Rowling fan. Like, I've read everything she's put out. Actually, I have her like one of her new books, still unread in front of me somewhere. I never got around to reading it, but I'm going to do it one of these days. I swear it's on the list. But yeah, I'm a big fan, right? I've kept up with everything she does. I enjoy what she's doing, like, creatively. Like, I am invested in her as a creator, but that does not mean that I like her as a person, respect her values, or respect her ideas, or the direction she's taking the Harry Potter IP. In which, this is an interesting situation with Fantastic Beasts, because this is clearly something Joe really, really wanted to do. But WB just wanted money. So you kind of have this weird kind of conflict between the two, where, like, you have Joe wanting to do, like, very specific political things, and then, like, WB is just, like, trying to make a salvageable product about it. And that is the key word here, political. Like, I've noticed, like, seeing reviews of the past two films, how, like, there are less Fantastic Beasts than you might expect, and more, like, boring, drawn-out wizarding politics. And I do think that is the problem, in that J.K. Rowling wants to make these movies political. The reason they exist, the sole reason they exist, I think, is to give an excuse to make a prequel series where she can try and convince us that Dumbledore was always gay, which I've always disputed. I've always said she made that up to virtue signal, and, like, the books are very clear about this, about his relationship with Grindelwald, and how it was a purely political thing, you know, about how they were going to, you know, subjugate Muggles and shit like that. Yeah, remember, like, how many times have you been with a girl and you start talking about, like, oppressing minorities, right? Like, it's not a thing that fucking happens. But apparently, you know, Rita Skeeter never picked up on this. Apparently, like, Harry Potter never thought to ask, like, well, by the way, Dumbledore, were you fucking Grindelwald at any point in your life? No, he didn't, because obviously that wasn't what the relationship was founded on. It was on a mutual interest, you know, two bright young boys trying to, like, come up with radical ideas to take over the world together. Like, they were shit posters on Pole, essentially. That's how I always describe it. Like, are you gonna accuse Pole of being gay? Are you, like, the LGBT board? Like, like, what are you? But the thing about these movies is that I think they expose the fact that J.K. Rowling completely made that up for virtue signaling purposes, just so she could say she had a gay character in the core cast, right? You know, Dumbledore's sexuality. Dumbledore was just a wizard, like, living in a castle, like, fucking around with magic and shit. Like, he just, like, everyone, I think, bought the fact that he just wasn't the sort of person to be interested in any kind of sexual relationships, right? Like, that's not abnormal for that kind of character. But, like, Joe decided to try and push this narrative that, like, oh man, he was gay all along. He had a flaming relationship with this dark wizard in his youth. And these movies, the Fantastic Beasts movies, were an attempt to try and make that canon, to try and establish it. And it completely and utterly failed. Not only are the LGBT community pissed at how the relationship has been depicted because it's inaccurate as fuck, it doesn't make any sense, like it's off screen a lot of the time. You just basically get some lines of dialogue indicating the relationship. You have people like me who are aware of reality and who understand like the homosexual agenda, who realize just how forced this relationship was on the end from the onset, right? Because it wasn't a thing in the original books, and she's trying poorly to retcon it. And what's more, because she's a white heterosexual woman who presumably well, she supposedly has gay friends, like so, just like how racists have like black friends, right? Like, oh man, I have black friends. I'm not a racist. Like, J.K. Rowling is the typical heterosexual white woman who is trying to write a gay relationship with no understanding the dynamics, how it plays out, or anything like that. And as a result of it, it's inauthentic as fuck. It doesn't appeal to anyone, right? Like I don't like it because it's not canon, and it obviously didn't happen in the books, and it's a disgusting relationship to begin with. But then you have like the LGBT community who think that like there's not enough focus on it, and it's not realistic and like not all that much in focus. Doesn't really appeal to them. And what's more, it's taken 3 movies to get to the point where we're at now, where like they kind of just casually tried like baiting the audience into thinking this was going to be like a movie about fantastic beasts, but it's actually about like gay Dumbledore shit. Like I don't know, but like this is pretty typical when it comes to like the gay agenda in media, right? Where they try and like hook you on like a brand or franchise you like Star Trek or like something with like a James Bond or something with like a long established history, and then just kind of like just shove gays in there and try to pass it off like it's normal or acceptable or desirable even. And that's what they tried to do here, but because Joe handled the script, because she's a white woman who doesn't know shit about anything, she completely botched how this thing would play out. Like it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure the movies contradict actual established lore in the seventh book. I'll have to like compare like the script of the movie to the actual text in the book to see what plays out. But from what I remember, and I don't remember entirely, but I think Dumbledore explicitly states that he never saw Grindelwald again until they dueled in 1945, like after they knew each other as kids. So, like, theoretically, if they were gay, which again is not true to the text, that would have happened during that summer they spent together. Like before Arabella Dumbledore got fucked and things like that. Yeah, that's right. Like the sister got fucked, didn't she? So Grindelwald was responsible for that. So if I remember correctly. Yeah, I need to get caught up on the lore. It's been a while since I've read the seventh book, but yeah, like it seems very Star Wars prequel-ishy, right? Where like nothing really seems to flow all that well with like the original iconic series, right? Oh, it just doesn't seem all that well put together of a trilogy. Like the plots don't make sense. Like they haven't been developing the characters well. Like there are all these red flags about the franchise and about the movies, like so much so that I really have no optimism for them going forward, to the point where like I'm just completely tuned out of the entire franchise. I have no desire to see the movies. I have no I don't want to. I'm happy with the books, first of all, but second of all, like who is this meant to appeal to? Like adults aren't into it, like kids aren't into it, like um the liberals who like usually eat up everything J.K. Rowling does is are foaming at the mouth because of like her anti tranny agenda, which is surprisingly based coming from her. Um, more conservative people like me aren't happy with like uh, the shit they're doing with Dumbledore anyway. So she's trying to do with Dumbledore anyway. Like it's alienated everyone, and that kind of makes me think that like these movies weren't made. Joe did not try to make these movies to make money. She didn't try. She didn't want to make them out of like a sense of passion or like creativity or anything like. She did it purely to push an agenda. She that's all it comes down to is that she wanted to use her most popular IP, one of the most popular franchises in the world, to push her bizarre political views onto people. And that's alienated essentially every single one of her fans. Every single one of them. Like I can't think of anyone I know who are happy with these movies. I'm not happy. Like other fans aren't happy. Like casual fans aren't happy. Like general audiences aren't happy. Like these aren't popular films, but because they're attached to such a big name, the legendary Harry Potter IP, J.K. Rowling, like it's still going to continue getting viewership, like no matter how bad it gets. And I wonder how bad they are going to get, because from what I understand, like the films keep getting worse. And like she said she was going to make five of them. I good luck with that, bro. Good luck with that, little sister. I have no idea. I have no idea. Like everyone's saying the same thing. Like where is the story going to go from here? Like, why would I stay invested? Like, I expect that like this movie bombed, and the fourth one, assuming it gets made, is going to do even worse. And I just, will the fifth one even get made? Will they do it just to follow the plan? Like, I I don't know how I don't know how they could drop the ball so hard. Um, my recommendation when it comes to this kind of situation is and always has been, please, please, please don't see these movies. Please don't give them money. Please don't give them attention. Please don't talk about them. Just let them release and just fade away into nothingness. Like, I would rather the MCU continue going strong than see Harry Potter make a resurgence in theaters, because I think it's high time for the IP to take a long, long break. I think Joe really needs to rethink her priorities. I think she really needs to get people who are talented to like build up the world and like come up with new original storylines and plots with new original characters. I think she either needs to like let Harry Potter stay where it is as like the iconic book series, or she's going to run the entire brand into the ground. And I think after The Cursed Child, I think after these movies, I think she already has. Like, I think she's lost all the goodwill she ever had with her fans. I think like no one's all that excited about what's coming next, and who can possibly blame them? Like, J.K. Rowling is more interested in being a political pundit than ever again making cool, interesting fantasy stories.